everyone! In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a marvelous fluffy coconut cake. I take inspiration from Sally's baking recipes, but I add my own modifications to make it have even more coconut flavor. Now let's get on to the recipe. So the first thing that I did is I measured out 2.5 cups of flour. Now, using a food scale would be ideal, but because I don't have one on hand, I like to just scrape it with a knife over a bowl so I can collect the dripping so I don't waste that much flour. Into my cake flour, I added 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Then, I simply whisked all my dry ingredients together until they were fully combined. After setting my dry ingredients aside, I combined 3/4 of a cup of salted butter at room temperature and 1 2/3 cup of white sugar into my stand mixer. As you can see with my laptop out, I was really trying to stay true to the recipe. I then put my stand mixer on low to cream the sugar and the butter together while I separated my eggs. Ultimately, I separated 5 eggs between the egg whites and the egg yolks. For this recipe, only use the egg whites, but you can use your egg yolks to make lemon curd or any other recipes. You can just store them in your refrigerator. Then I gradually added my egg whites into my cream, sugar, and butter. Into my mixer, I also added a half cup of sour cream to add kind of like a tanginess to the cake, about 1 teaspoon of coconut extract, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, before adding in my dry ingredients. Make sure to add them in no more than a half cup so then they don't spill over and out of your bowl. The next thing that I did is I added 1 cup of unsweetened coconut milk. I made sure to use full fat. I really think it does wonders for the cake, in addition to adding 1 cup of sweetened coconut flavor. After all the batter started looking really fluffy, I then just separated my cake batter mixture into 3 9-inch cake pans, making sure to evenly distribute the batter. Then I baked my cakes at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes, but this really just depends on the temperature of your oven. And then I just removed them and let them cool completely for, I would say, 2 hours, but just make sure to see if they're room temperature at the touch. While my cakes were cooling, I decided to make a coconut buttercream, which first started out with me creaming together 1 cup of butter and 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese until nice and fluffy. And then to that, I added 2 tablespoons of coconut milk, in addition to 1 teaspoon of coconut extract, and just a pinch of salt. To that, I also added about 5 cups of confectioner's sugar. Like your dry ingredients, make sure to do this slowly and surely so that it doesn't spill out of your bowl. After I finished making my coconut buttercream and my cakes finally cooled, in the center of my cake tray, I put like a glob of my frosting at the bottom before adding my first cake on top of it. This ensures that your cakes stay stable while you decorate. In addition to keeping my cake tray clean, I also like to add some parchment paper to the sides that I can just remove at the end so then my cake tray still looks clean after I finish decorating as well. After doing this prep, I then added my first cake to the bottom of the tray, adding a generous smear of frosting before sprinkling it with a couple coconut flakes. Before adding the next cake on top, I then just repeated these steps for the next 2 layers. Then I decorated the top and the sides of my cake with the rest of my frosting. And after all that was decorated, I then just took my extra coconut flakes, about 2 cups, and I kind of just pushed them into the sides, giving them that classic coconut cake finish. Then I waited about 30 minutes to let the cake set, and then I began to slice. The first slice, honestly, is always the hardest, but it is always the most delicious. See, this cake is so light and fluffy, but it holds such a wonderful coconut flavor. It's an amazing cake for any time of year, and I hope you enjoy this recipe as much as I do. The recipe's in the description. Have a wonderful day no matter your situation or location. Goodbye!